There is a moment, and you know exactly which moment I'm talking about, when everything shifts. Not on the outside, not yet. But somewhere deep inside the architecture of your soul, something cracks open like the shell of a seed that has been waiting underground for years, decades, maybe lifetimes. That moment is not accidental. That moment was written into the fabric of your existence before you ever drew your first breath, before your name was chosen. Before your parents even knew you were coming, before the stars aligned in the particular pattern that they did on the night of your birth. Something ancient, something older than language, older than religion, older than civilization itself, had already decided that you would be here, that you would survive everything you've survived, that you would still be standing when everyone else had given up. That moment of internal shift is not random, it is recognition. The universe is recognizing what it already created. And what it created in you is something that the world does not have a word for yet. Because you are not just a person. You are not just someone trying to make it through the week. You are a chosen one. And today we are going to talk about what that truly means, what it costs, and why even your greatest enemies cannot help but bow in your presence. Part 1. What it means to be chosen. Let us dismantle the myth right from the beginning, because the word chosen carries a lot of weight, and most people misunderstand it entirely. Being chosen does not mean being handed a life free of pain. It does not mean you were given special privileges, a cushioned path, or divine protection from heartbreak. Being chosen is not about being perfect, and it is certainly not about being liked. In fact, and this is the paradox at the heart of your entire journey, the chosen path is almost always the harder path. It is the path that breaks you in ways that ordinary comfort never could. It is the path that strips you of every false identity, every borrowed belief, every mask you wore to make other people comfortable. The chosen path does not coddle you, it confronts you. It holds up a mirror to every wound, every fear, every limitation you thought defined you, and it says, this is not who you are. This is what you are becoming. Being chosen means being selected, not despite your challenges, but through them. It means the universe looked at your soul and said, this one has the capacity to carry something extraordinary. This one has the depth, the resilience, the spiritual architecture to hold a frequency that others cannot yet access. And so it gave you the experiences that would forge that capacity. It gave you the fire, not to destroy you, but to reveal you. Part 2. The weight of the chosen path. Nobody tells you how lonely it is to be chosen. Nobody puts that in the motivational quotes. Nobody stands up and says, hey, if you are truly walking the path you were born for, there will be nights when you feel completely and utterly alone. Nights when the people you love most do not understand what is happening to you. Nights when you question everything, your purpose, your sanity, your worth. Nobody warns you that the chosen path comes with a kind of isolation that is unlike any other, because it is the isolation of being ahead, of vibrating at a frequency that the people around you cannot yet hear, of seeing things, possibilities, truths, futures that others are not yet equipped to perceive. And that isolation can feel like rejection. It can feel like failure. It can feel like the universe made a mistake when it chose you, because surely, if you were truly special, you would not be struggling this much. But I want you to hear this clearly. The weight you are carrying is not evidence that you are broken. It is evidence that you were built for something significant. You cannot carry a heavy assignment with a light frame. You cannot be trusted with a great mission without first being tested in small ones. The loneliness is not punishment. It is preparation. The silence around you is not absence. It is the space being created for something new to take root. Part 3. Your enemies are your greatest testifiers. Now let's talk about the enemies, because this is where the story gets truly remarkable. Every chosen one has had them. Every single person who has ever risen to their true greatness has had people in their life who doubted them, who mocked them, who whispered behind their back, who tried to diminish them, who celebrated their failures and minimized their victories. And here is what most people do not understand about those enemies. They are not obstacles to your destiny. They are confirmation of it. Think about every great figure in human history. Every revolutionary, every visionary, every prophet, every artist, every entrepreneur who changed the game. And you will find, without exception, that they had fierce opposition. They had people who tried to stop them, people who called them delusional, people who said it couldn't be done. People who were so threatened by the light these individuals carried that the only response available to their limited consciousness was to attack, to undermine, to mock, and then those same people, when the chosen one's destiny could no longer be denied, when the evidence of greatness became impossible to ignore, those same enemies had no choice but to fall silent, no choice but to nod, no choice but to acknowledge what they had spent years trying to suppress. That acknowledgement, that involuntary bow from the very people who wanted to see you fall, is one of the most powerful spiritual phenomena in human experience. Part 4. Why they cannot help but respect you. Let us go deeper into this because it deserves our full attention. Why is it that even your enemies, even the people who genuinely wanted to see you fail, eventually find themselves respecting you? The answer is not about power or dominance or revenge. The answer is about frequency, about truth, about the irresistible force of authentic becoming. When you step fully into who you were made to be, when you stop apologizing for your gifts, when you stop shrinking so that others can feel comfortable, when you start walking with the quiet confidence of someone who has made peace with their own greatness, you emit something, a frequency, a vibration, an energy that is impossible to ignore and even more impossible to deny. The human psyche at its deepest level recognizes truth. It cannot always articulate that recognition. It cannot always welcome it. Sometimes the ego fights against it with everything it has. But beneath the ego, beneath the jealousy, the competition, the insecurity, the soul knows. The soul of your enemy knows that what they are witnessing in you is real. And reality commands respect, even from those who resent it. Even from those who would prefer to see you small. The bow is not a choice they make consciously. It is a response their spirit makes involuntarily to the presence of something genuine, something chosen, something aligned with a power greater than personal preference or interpersonal politics. Part 5. The spiritual architecture of the chosen one. There is a particular internal structure that chosen ones carry, and most of them do not even know they have it until life begins to apply pressure. Think of it like the skeleton of a building, invisible from the outside, unremarkable in ordinary conditions, but revealed in full clarity when the storm comes. And the storms in a chosen one's life are not gentle. They are the kind of storms that flatten ordinary structures, the kind that expose every weakness, every crack, every poorly constructed foundation. And yet, and here is the miracle, the chosen one stands, not without damage, not without scars, but standing, always standing. That spiritual architecture includes a capacity for suffering that alchemizes pain into wisdom rather than bitterness. It includes a depth of empathy that allows the chosen one to feel the pain of others so deeply that it becomes fuel for change. It includes an intuition so sharp that it often surpasses logical analysis, a knowing that cannot be explained but cannot be denied. It includes a connection to something beyond the self, something larger than individual ambition or personal gain, a sense of mission that does not originate from the ego but from somewhere far more ancient and far more vast. These are not qualities that are taught in schools or acquired through social media consumption. They are qualities that are forged in fire, in silence, in the darkest hours of the darkest nights. They are the architecture of the soul that has agreed, before birth, to carry something sacred into the world. Part 6. The Dark Night of the Chosen Soul. Every chosen one goes through what mystics have called the dark night of the soul. If you have been through it, if you are going through it right now, you know exactly what I am describing. It is not ordinary sadness. It is not clinical depression, though it can resemble it. It is something far more specific, far more purposeful. It is the experience of having every false construct of your identity stripped away, every belief that was not truly yours, every relationship that was built on a version of you that no longer exists, every dream that was borrowed from someone else's expectations. The dark night of the chosen soul is the universe performing surgery, and surgeries, however necessary, are painful. You lie on the table of your own existence and you feel things being cut away that you thought were essential to you, and you grieve them. You grieve the version of yourself that you were trying to be. You grieve the relationships that could not survive your transformation. You grieve the life you thought you were building, now unrecognizable in the rubble of your becoming. But here is what the dark night is actually doing. It is clearing the ground. It is removing every structure that was not built to last. It is preparing the soil of your soul for a harvest so abundant that the version of you who went into that darkness would never have been able to receive it. The dark night is not the end of your story. It is the death of the chapter that was keeping you from the story you were actually meant to live. Part 7. Signs that you are the chosen one. You have probably questioned yourself, probably 1,000 times. Probably in the middle of the night when everything felt uncertain and the gap between where you are and where you know you are meant to be felt impossibly wide. So let us talk about the signs. Not because you need external validation, you don't, but because sometimes the soul needs to hear its own truth spoken out loud in order to remember what it already knows. The first sign is that you have always felt different, not better, different. Like you were watching life through glass while everyone else was fully inside it. Like there was a frequency playing somewhere that only you could hear, and you spent years trying to turn it off because it set you apart in ways that were uncomfortable. The second sign is that you have survived things that should have broken you. Not just survived, but come out the other side somehow wiser, somehow more compassionate, somehow more yourself than you were before. The third sign is that people are drawn to you even when you are not trying to attract anyone. There is something in your energy that people recognize even before they can name it. The fourth sign is that you feel a sense of mission, a pull towards something larger than personal success, a deep knowing that you are here for a reason that has nothing to do with accumulating comfort. The fifth sign is that your greatest enemies have never been able to fully diminish you. They have tried, and somehow every time you have risen. Part 8. The chosen one does not seek revenge. This is one of the most spiritually advanced truths on the entire chosen one journey. And it is one that many people are not ready to hear. The chosen one does not seek revenge, not because they are weak, not because they have forgotten what was done to them, not because they are naive about the intentions of those who tried to harm them, but because they understand something that most people have not yet grasped. Revenge is a downgrade. Revenge is the chosen one stepping down from their throne and entering the arena of someone else's energy, someone else's consciousness, someone else's level of existence. And the chosen one does not do that, not because of pride, but because of clarity. Clarity about where their power actually lives. Their power does not live in retaliation. It does not live in proving people wrong through argument or confrontation. Their power lives in becoming, in growing, in expanding, in aligning so fully with their purpose that the universe itself becomes their advocate, their enforcer, their justice system. The chosen one lets time be the truth teller. They let the fruit of their life be the verdict. And when that fruit ripens, when the results of years of disciplined, purposeful, soul-aligned work become undeniable, no argument is necessary. No confrontation is required. The evidence speaks, and even the harshest critics, even the most committed doubters, find themselves with no logical foundation left on which to stand their opposition. Part 9. Walking in power without arrogance. There is a particular kind of energy that the true chosen one carries, and it is important to understand it correctly because it is frequently misunderstood, both by those observing it and by chosen ones themselves as they come into their power. It is not arrogance. It is not the puffed up chest of someone who has decided they are better than everyone else. It is something far more quiet, far more grounded, far more unshakable than arrogance could ever be. It is the energy of someone who has made peace with who they are, who has looked into the darkest parts of themselves and found something worth loving there, who has sat in the silence of their own soul and heard a truth that required no external confirmation, who has been through the fire and discovered that they are not destroyed by it but refined by it. That energy, that quiet, rooted, undefended confidence is what changes rooms when you walk into them. It is what makes people feel simultaneously inspired and uncomfortable in your presence. Inspired because something in them recognizes what alignment looks like and wants it for themselves. Uncomfortable because something in them knows they have been settling, and your presence makes that settling impossible to ignore. The chosen one does not carry their power like a weapon. They carry it like a fact, not something to be proven, not something to be argued for. Simply something that exists quietly and undeniably like gravity. Part 10. Your gift is not for you. This is perhaps the most important truth on the entire journey, and it is the one that changes everything once it fully lands in the heart. Your gift is not for you. Your talent, your vision, your wisdom, your ability to inspire, your capacity to create, your unique way of seeing the world, none of it was given to you for your personal enjoyment alone. It was given to you as a tool for something larger, as a vehicle for a contribution that the world genuinely needs, as a frequency that will heal people you have not yet met, open doors for souls who are still trapped in the darkness you once navigated, create pathways for generations who will benefit from your willingness to walk forward even when the road was unclear. The moment the chosen one understands this, truly understands it, not just intellectually but in the marrow of their bones, everything changes. The ambition stops being about ego and starts being about service. The discipline stops being about achievement and starts being about stewardship. The persistence stops being about proving something and starts being about honoring something. There is no heavier burden in the world than a gift that is only used for oneself. And there is no greater freedom than the moment you release that gift into the world with open hands and trust that it will find exactly the people who need it most. Your gift is a message in a bottle thrown into the ocean of human experience. Let it go. Let it travel. Let it arrive. Part 11. The Chosen One and Their Sacred Circle. On the journey of the Chosen One, there will be people who are meant to walk beside you. Not all the way, not necessarily, but for the portion of the road that requires their particular gifts, their particular presence, their particular love. And there will be people who are not meant for your sacred circle, no matter how much you wish they were. One of the most painful aspects of the chosen path is the recognition that not everyone can come with you. Not everyone will understand the direction you are moving in. Not everyone has the capacity to hold the weight of who you are becoming. And some of the people you love most deeply are precisely the ones who are not built for the version of your life that is waiting for you on the other side of your transformation. This is not about hierarchy. It is not about superiority. It is about alignment. A seed cannot remain in its pod and simultaneously become a tree. The pod is not the enemy of the tree. The pod was the vessel that protected the seed until it was ready to break open. But the breaking open requires leaving the pod behind. Some relationships in your life are pods. They were exactly right for who you were. They are not right for who you are becoming. Releasing them is not betrayal. It is respect for what they were, for what you both needed them to be, and for the truth that you have both grown in different directions. Your sacred circle is the group of souls who can hold your frequency without flinching, who celebrate your becoming without jealousy, who tell you the truth without cruelty, and who love you enough to let you be exactly who you were made to be. Part 12. When the universe conspires for you. There comes a point on the chosen one's journey, and you may have already touched the edges of it, or you may be approaching it now, when things begin to shift in ways that cannot be explained by logic or strategy or personal effort alone. Doors open that you did not knock on. Connections appear that you did not engineer. Resources arrive precisely when they are needed. The right book falls off the shelf. The right conversation happens at the right moment. The right opportunity presents itself just as you have developed the exact capacities required to receive it. Some people call this luck. Some people call it coincidence. The chosen one knows better. The chosen one recognizes these moments for exactly what they are, the universe confirming its investment in them. Reality reorganizing itself around a life that has aligned with its true purpose. The field of existence conspiring, as Paulo Coelho once wrote, in favor of those who genuinely pursue their own destiny. But here is the key. And this is what separates those who experience this phenomenon from those who wait for it forever. The universe does not conspire for those who are ready to receive without being willing to work. It conspires for those who have done the inner work, who have cleared the internal obstacles, who have shown up consistently even when the results were not yet visible. The synchronicities are not rewards for wanting. They are responses to becoming. They appear when you are vibrating at the frequency of what you are asking for. They are the universe saying, yes, we see you, we've been watching, and now you are ready. Part 13. The Chosen One in the Fire. Let us talk about one of the most misunderstood aspects of the chosen path, the seasons of fire. The times when everything that was stable suddenly becomes unstable. When the life you had carefully constructed suddenly reveals itself to be built on foundations that cannot hold what you are becoming. When the job ends, the relationship breaks, the health falters, the financial structure collapses, the reputation takes a hit, the future you were planning becomes suddenly unavailable. These are not punishments. They are not evidence of your unworthiness. They are not signs that you took a wrong turn or that the universe has abandoned you. They are seasons of fire, and fire, in its highest function, is a purifier. It burns away what is not essential. It eliminates what cannot survive the intensity of your true frequency. It reveals what is real by destroying what is false. And here is the truth that the chosen one must return to in the middle of every fire. Nothing that is truly meant for you can be burned away. Nothing that is aligned with your highest purpose can be taken from you by any temporary crisis or external disruption. What the fire takes is only what was never yours to keep. What the fire leaves is exactly what you were meant to carry forward. So when you find yourself in the fire, and you will, again and again, because this is a path of continuous refinement, do not ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this revealing? Ask, what is this purifying? Ask, who am I becoming on the other side of this? Part 14. The Chosen One's Relationship with Time. The Chosen One exists in a different relationship with time than most people around them. This is one of the reasons they are so frequently misunderstood, so regularly underestimated, and so consistently surprising to those who wrote them off too early. Most people live on the surface of time, in the urgent, the immediate, the reactive. They are governed by what is pressing right now, what is visible right now, what can be measured right now. The Chosen One lives in a deeper current of time. They operate from a vision of what could be, what is meant to be, what they have been shown in the quiet hours of their own soul. They plant seeds in seasons when no one else believes a harvest is possible. They make investments of energy and discipline and faith in directions that appear from the outside to make no sense. They hold a vision for their own life and for the world that is years, sometimes decades, ahead of where the mainstream of human understanding currently rests. This relationship with time requires an enormous capacity for patience, for sitting with uncertainty, for trusting a process whose timeline is not yours to control, for showing up day after day in devotion to something that has not yet manifested in visible form. And this is precisely why so many give up just before the breakthrough. Because the Chosen One's timeline is not the world's timeline. The Chosen One operates on the frequency of divine timing. And divine timing by its very nature, does not answer to human impatience. Part 15. The Bow. When your enemies finally see. Let us return to the title of this journey, because everything we have discussed leads here, the bow. The moment when your enemies, those who doubted, who mocked, who undermined, who spread rumors, who celebrated your failures, who tried to shrink you, who whispered, "They will never make it," in the ears of anyone who would listen. The moment when those very people find themselves in the presence of what you have become, and they have no response left but respect. What does this moment look like? It does not look like a confrontation. It does not look like a victory speech or a public humiliation of those who opposed you. The chosen one is far too elevated for that kind of theater. The bow happens quietly. It happens in the eyes. It happens in the hesitation before they speak. It happens in the way the room changes when you enter it. It happens in the fact that the narrative about you, the one your enemies constructed, the one they circulated, the one they needed to believe in order to feel safe in their own smallness, simply stops being sustainable. It collapses under the weight of your reality. And in the rubble of that collapsed narrative, there is nothing left for them but truth. And truth, as we have established, commands respect involuntarily. The bow is not your victory over them. The bow is the universe's acknowledgement, expressed through even the most resistant of witnesses, that you were always exactly who you knew yourself to be. The bow is reality recognizing itself in you. Part 16. Chosen but not finished. Here is a truth that the chosen one must hold simultaneously with everything else we have discussed. Being chosen is not a destination. It is a direction. It is an orientation of the soul toward its highest function. And that orientation must be renewed, recommitted to, and re-embodied every single day. There is no arrival point where you can say, "I have completed my journey as a chosen one and may now rest permanently." The path continues to expand. The assignment continues to deepen. The capacity continues to be developed. What you are capable of today is not the ceiling. It is the floor for what you will be capable of tomorrow. If you continue to show up with the courage and the discipline and the faith that brought you this far. Being chosen means being in a perpetual state of becoming. It means there is always a deeper layer of yourself to excavate. Always a more authentic expression of your gifts to discover. Always a greater contribution to offer to the world that is watching you, learning from you. Being changed by simply being in contact with the frequency you carry. And this is good news. This is not a burden, it is a privilege, because the alternative to continuing to grow is the slow spiritual death of stagnation. The chosen one does not stagnate. The chosen one does not choose comfort over growth when they know that growth is what they were built for. They choose the expansion even when it is uncomfortable, especially when it is uncomfortable. Because they know that discomfort is the sensation of a life that is still moving in the right direction. I want to close with something personal, something direct, something that I want you to receive, not as content, not as entertainment, not as background noise for your morning routine, but as a message that was written specifically for you. Because in some mysterious and very real way, it was. You have been through things that would have ended other people. You have sat in darkness so complete that you could not see your own hands in front of your face, and you have waited there, without proof, without guarantees, without confirmation that the light was coming. And the light came. You have been misunderstood by people who mattered to you, and you have survived that misunderstanding without becoming bitter. You have been underestimated by people who did not have the eyes to see what you were carrying, and you have continued carrying it anyway. You have questioned yourself in the middle of the night, wondering if you were delusional, wondering if the vision you hold for your life was a fantasy rather than a prophecy, wondering if the universe actually had a plan for you, or if you had simply made all of that up to survive. And here you are, still here. Still moving, still becoming. That is not ordinary, that is chosen. Do not let anyone convince you otherwise. Not your enemies, not your doubts, not the distance between where you are and where you are going. You are the chosen one. You have always been. And even those who could not see it before, they will see it now. They have no choice. They never did. Now go. The world is waiting.